Well, the first thing that Commissioner Marie-Josée Hogue wanted to do was to essentially reassure Canadians, and she starts that in her sprawling 856-page, 7-volume report to say that there was no impact. Foreign interference caused no impact on the 2019 or 2021 federal election outcomes. Also says there was no impact on the integrity of the last two general elections. One other thing she wants Canadians to know is there are no so-called traitors in Parliament. That had become an issue because last June, the National Security and Intelligence Committee of Parliamentarians, known by its short form as NSICOP, released a report saying that there were MPs who had provided classified information to foreign governments and or who accepted money from foreign governments. Well, Marie-Josée Hogue says, I've taken a look at the classified information, the secret information, and there are no traitors in Parliament. So that's the stuff to reassure. But then there is lots of foreign interference problems that our governments should be paying attention to. She had many criticisms, broadly around 3 areas. First, government takes much too long to act when there are allegations of foreign interference. So it's got to do better on those processes. The federal government's information sharing process is deeply flawed and is not very effective. She made note that important bits of intelligence were never reaching appropriate political decision makers, including the Prime Minister. Finally, she says, above all else, the government is terrible at communications. So she's provided some recommendations along all 3 of those. In fact, there's 51 recommendations in this report. A handful of them she believes the government can act on, what she says, promptly, without having any new legislation before Parliament. And of course, that's the key. We're going to have an election that likely begins in late March or early April. And so what changes do you want to make before that election? There's a few, but there's no way all 51 will get done. For example, Commissioner Hogue is calling for some broad changes to the Canada Elections Act, specifically tightening up rules around how parties nominate their candidates. That nomination process, Hogue said, was a, quote, gateway to foreign interference, and she's got some ideas about tightening up, but there's no way that can be done before the next election, and so fixing our elections laws is going to have to wait for the next government. David Akin, Global News, Ottawa.